Give praise, for he has risen. The Easter Bunny is alive again. Alive again? I don't really get why the Easter Bunny is a thing. I think it's extremely American. But thanks to that, this week has a really strange mix of things. Because we have, of course, Easter and the celebrations around it, which are nice. We have no mission to the moon, which is kind of surprising but also interesting. And I kind of want to mix all of that with Japanese legends and the rabbits living on the moon. You might think it's a stretch, but it's not. We do be having alien stuff this week. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Any such cases, I'm afraid. We will not start with that, of course. We have something else to get through, first of all. And it's kind of something nice. It still has to do with Japan to some extent. So that's cool. Okay, what's going on here? We got a small piece of hair they have near my mouth. That is annoying me. There we go, I think. That seems fine, that seems better. It's hard to tell sometimes. I just realized that, oh my goodness. This nail of mine is kinda dirty. Let me fix that real fast. Way better. Way better. Okay. How about music? First of all, how about music? This is fine, right? Let us get some music if I find my correct browser. I mean, it's not an early winter day, but I think this is fine. An early winter day with Pokemon music that makes you feel rest to work. I don't know what that means. I think these people are much more ESL than me. Okay, that seems fine. I think that's probably okay. There we go. Need to move some of my stuff here. At least today, I remembered to bring up the chats, which is nice. I've been forgetting them lately, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just too eager to start streaming. Who knows? But thanks to Japan, or thanks to Twitter, which is not something I say a lot, so you know it's good. We've had an interesting past week, entering about a week. I think that's correct. I've seen a really strange cultural exchange between Japan and, I would say America, but it's pretty much the West. It's been really interesting and really fun. I had to admit that Japanese people are really unhinged, much more than I expected. And I've dealt with Japan before, in that regard. They do be a different bunch. I don't say this is a criticism, it's just surprising. Japanese X, formerly Twitter, is now America's favorite corner of the internet. We love Japan, even the non-Americans, okay? Interesting place. How I turned the social media platform into bridge between Americans and Japanese. Some of these articles are from April 1st, but I can tell you they're actually real. That everything is a lie. On April Fools. I also need to mention, people keep falling for strange stuff on April Fools. Why would you do that? Ah, people lie during April Fools. People lie all the time. Do not kid yourself. Come on now. Okay, that was fixed. A platform that often seems to promote division is bringing people together for a change, and Americans are learning the joy of one of the last great undiscovered parts of the internet. Great undiscovered parts of the internet, what a bunch of normies. I keep saying this, my goodness. First of all, They're promoting union by division here, okay? I don't think they're gonna mention that in this article, but still. And I talked before how Japan, or Japanese internet, or some Japanese sites actually shaped nerdom for the longest time. Even VTubing, it's not just idols. Nico Nico Toga, yeah, it was pretty big back then. Hey, I will know. I've been a nerd for far too long. US-based users of Inks, formerly known as Twitter, were this weekend bombarded with Japanese language posts. It was not just US-based. To be fair, I've been getting Japan stuff for months already, so I guess it was a higher increase for the US. I have been seeing more Japan stuff, which is always nice. Thanks to AI-enabled auto translation in what looks like a change to the feed populating algorithm. It's a crossover of X's two biggest user bases, one that will have been impossible until recently. AI-enabled auto translation, it's been around for a little bit already. I disabled that months ago. Not because I have an insane mastery of all the languages, but because I kinda want to practice it a little bit. Can you do it every single time? No, I hit translation, of course, more often than not, but it still helps a little bit. It started with the shared passion of both nations, grilling meat, and also thanks to people hating the same things, immigrants. In Japanese island Sasebo, is near Nagasaki, the home to a US Navy base showed a drawing of US soldiers instantly grilling bacon at the yakiniku restaurant. I seen that post. The first thing to show how residents live alongside such cool and fun neighbors, and was followed by another with a photo of actual Americans barbecuing. It quickly got global attention, racking up nearly 50 million views, and leading to a flood of wholesome posts from both sides of the Pacific. Hey, how you doing, bastard? Hey, you're here early today. Welcome. We're reading a little bit about the American-Japanese cultural exchange happening right now on Twitter. It's kind of funny how they say, "Ah, such cool and fun neighbors." Now you're getting infinite Indians. I'm sorry. It's not my fault, that's the government. It shared age-generated pictures of cowboys and samurai curling together on Godzilla, teaming up with a bald eagle. I don't think Godzilla is actually the national bird for Japan, but I wouldn't know. There were snaps of Americans driving key cars and Japanese celebrating shooting ranges. I've seen the Japanese cowboys. They're actually pretty insane with the guns too. They go hard. While Japanese content has surged in popularity in the US, in recent years this seemed to be mostly driven by those not already obsessed with anime. At a time when Europeans tend to look down their noses at the US, so Americans are more concerned with China maxing, bringing together the peoples with such close military allies. Our everyday interest was actually heartwarming. Not that I don't have criticism of the US, but I do admit that, especially nowadays, Europe has a massive hate boner for the US. And I think it's way too much. At the end of the day, we're not that different. But I do understand why a lot of Americans kinda dismiss Europe completely. I get it. I get it. The European Union is... I want to say it's not really representative of most of the population, but a lot of the population is also extremely cocked. Also here, speaking of China maxing, apparently the Japanese thought they were hated by the Americans, or by the West, maybe? I'm not sure, they just call Americans to all of the white people, usually. I don't believe China is to blame for that. A communist country with propaganda? More likely than you think. Americans are now discovering the joys of brother Japanese Twitter, one of the internet's last remaining secrets. When user described it part as possibly the biggest product improvement I've yet experienced on this app. The country has more daily active users than any other, noted by vtuber, Ace's head of product. I also have to admit that this has me a little bit worried here. This strange change in the algorithm, because I do believe they're hiding stuff. I've seen some people mentioning they're just banning accounts left and right. I don't know if it's actual censorship or not, but I do expect mischief, especially from this guy, which seems to be it's skittering out sometimes. The Americans just love to hold on to power. The Americans crushed Japanese economy in the late 80s. I mean, yeah, it's kind of my issues with the big US of A. It's difficult to be their friends, but it's also difficult to be their enemies, and I'm not quite sure which is worse. I understand they want to be on top. It is a very powerful country, all things considered. But at the same time, you don't really have friends when you treat your quote-unquote allies that way. You have vassals, which is not surprising when they stop liking you and they want to ally themselves with other people. I don't want Europe to ally themselves with China, but that appears to be the case. Hey, why not Russia before this strange thing with Ukraine happened? That seemed to be pretty obvious, but nah, Russia bad, I guess. Now they're struggling to overturn Chinese power. It's a really strange situation. I guess I don't know enough about global politics, but it's a really strange mix between big countries from outside lying and Americans lying to themselves. But the US can just beat literally all of the other countries together in a war. Apparently the people that run those tests, military training, I don't know how they're called. When it comes to places like Iran, they have to lie and they have to cheat to actually win. And I'm like, okay, but if you're training, if you're practicing, lying to yourself seems like a big problem for you. You're gonna have the wrong expectations going forward with more conflicts. Which I'm not saying that's literally what's happening right now, but it was not 4 days saying, and oh, we won already. No, that's not what's happening. Also, the current situation with wars in general is really difficult to do. It's nothing like old wars, because you have gigantic countries that can produce a lot, like Russia and China, and trying to fight them over, it's gonna be a problem. You're going to war with the country, but that country's providing you with the stuff, so you're actually killing yourself. That's not so much about America, it's about Europe, but still. But the traditional allies in search for a new order, they're relatively safe due to largely being self-sufficient in energy. If you look at North America as a whole, Canadian gas and potash and other natural resources. Also being geographically insulated from conflicts in Asia or Europe. Yeah, I guess that is fair. It's kind of the two sides of the same coin with the US. I understand the isolationists. We want to be left to our own devices. I get that, and kind of the same. But on the other hand, we're powerful and we have to be the world police. Because people are gonna fix themselves. It's kind of a contradiction, but I can't understand it to some point. It's kind of rough. Something I quite dislike about all that too is I don't know if that's education in the US, but they clearly do not value history as much. As far as I understand it, they start teaching history with 1776, and I'm like, okay, that's literally yesterday. So it was really funny when I watched that interview with Tucker Carlson and Vladimir Putin years ago, and Carlson was like, oh, but it's so strange that you had to go so far back for these conflicts. Well, yeah, a lot of these conflicts in the old continent go back hundreds or even thousands of years, right? If you don't start talking about Europe with, at the very least, ancient Rome and Greece, you have failed. And we're talking about several thousand years, but in the US just 250. Yeah, you're gonna miss a lot of context, and you're gonna miss a lot of mistakes that have been made already, and you're probably gonna make them again, which maybe you shouldn't. When China won't be affected is they're completely self-sufficient in natural resources. They also have some allies that also produce a lot of stuff, and they're not at odds, like Russia, for example. In global value chains in electronics, this represents the opportunity for Europe and other Asian countries to rally with China. I still don't like the communists. I do think that allying themselves with China brings a lot of trouble. The pretty obvious allyship was with Russia. I mean, it's just right there. They have a lot of resources, they have a lot of stuff. So it was pretty obvious. Right now, I think it's just impossible with NATO and the Ukraine conflict. Which is really stupid in my opinion, but what are you gonna do? As much as with the US, it's questionable. I mean, I don't know. They're communists and they're subversive by nature. That's something I'd like to avoid. I think there's also a lot of pro-Chinese propaganda that's filled with lies. I mean, once again, communists lying, color me surprised, but who doesn't lie in the grander stage of politics, right? I don't know, it's just a fucking disaster. I think the better solution is just to have a God Emperor of mankind, and that should be me. Because I know how to fix everything, right? If only it was that easy. We were right here. In many ways, it's the perfect platform for Japan. The country first embraced it as an ideal way to share information in real time following the earthquake, tsunami and nuclear disaster in 2011. It's been 50 years, that's crazy. Even with more information dense than English, the initial 140 character format was not limiting. At a time when platforms like Facebook pushed people to register their real names, to embrace the pseudonyms accounts users were accustomed to. Right, the Chinese are extremely self-serving, and we should suggest that this is necessarily going to make things better for the US. I don't think this is making things better in general. Especially after the open conflict with Iran. I don't want to be that guy, but it kinda feels, and I think it's pretty obvious at this point, that the US being the attack dog for Israel. Because Israel just said, you know what? Fuck you, Turkey. You're next. Turkey is another NATO country. The second biggest military in NATO, of course. Only second to the US. So the US was just considering getting rid of NATO so they could attack Turkey. And I'm like, but you understand that you really have no reason to attack Turkey, right? Aside from Israel told me so. And your only allyship to Israel is really because, oh, it's mentioned in the Bible. Yeah, but the Bible doesn't mention the same Israel. Because this country was made up less than 100 years ago. You're making a big mistake. I watched some stuff about the evangelists and their obsession with the Middle East because of the Bible. It's absolutely crazy. Sure, we'll sacrifice most of humanity so Jesus Christ can come back. If that was correct and were to happen, do you really think Jesus Christ would want something like that? No, you're actually the bad guys. You're actually the people sacrificing humans. I don't think Jesus Christ would approve of something like that. And I say this as somebody that's not really religious. But they try to be cohesive. Japan never got hung up on blue checks, nor did the servers become the obsession of elites as it did in the West. Following the takeover by Elon Musk, as the platform boosted the polarizing content in English and US politics and the culture wars. I think you mean not completely banning all decent discourse, but of course, Japanese feelings were largely untouched. There was little backlash here to Musk's takeover, and neither regular users nor official accounts fled to Blue Sky or Mastodon in significant numbers. Japan is far more racist than we are, funny enough. The kind of stuff they say, I don't think it's necessarily wrong, but they're really explicit with their language. True and the most counts. Thank you. I hope you also endorse me as God Emperor of mankind. Election soon, I promise. Kind of my problem with politics. I don't think I'm that smart about some of these strange conflicts or how to properly run a country. Yet I see myself more skilled than most of the politicians I see, both in my country and outside. That's really scary. Because I know I shouldn't be a politician. But if I shouldn't be, neither should they. It's one major reason I refuse to follow so many other journalists of the platform after Musk's takeover. While X has an issue with impression zombies, low-quality accounts that post vapid replies to popular posts in the hope of fracking views, this is mainly bot accounts and third worlders. Sorry to tell you this. Okay, they're gonna mention it here, so I will hold my horses for a little bit. Frank engagement and cancer have struggled to climb its linguistic and cultural walls. And while, like anywhere online, it's home to plenty of racist and discriminatory content, intermixing infilling sorts of jokes, memes, and touching slices of daily life in a way its English language equivalent no longer is. People from India and people from Nigeria and such places are seething at the change of algorithm because they have been massively deboosted, so they don't get engaged, so they don't get those delicious American dollars from the engagement. They are going kinda wild, and I love to see it. I love to see it. I hate engagement farming. It's so annoying. I'm tired of always seeing the same memes, always seeing the same videos for weeks, months, and even years. Some of these videos, I swear, I've seen several times weekly for the past 7 or 8 years, if not even more. Please get better fucking memes. It's tiring me to no end. You can judge a culture by its memes. Modern society's absolute ass, because all of the memes are extremely stale. The only fun ones are old, and the new ones do not fucking work. What are you talking about? You wouldn't know, you wouldn't understand. I'm sick of this. Always reposting the same shit. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Internet culture, completely gone. I hate this. Which country being? I can't mean in general on the internet. When you talk about the culture of memes, not just necessarily a single country. But I do think it got way worse when some countries that before didn't have access to the internet got into the internet. Because they're just trying to game the system. I almost said game the game, which doesn't make any sense. Of course you're going to game the game, right? That's how you play games. It's just all about engagement, which is really annoying. And I would say that one of the worst examples of this has been India, for sure. Apparently they also have chat groups, so they can just spam report accounts they don't like. Ah, look, this person is spouting anti-India rhetoric. You know what? We're gonna get you banned. Something like that shouldn't happen. But then again, there are many things that shouldn't be happening and they're still happening, so they will tell you for sure that spam reporting does nothing. Fucking bullshit. It works every single time. It has worked since the beginning because it's actually some sort of fail-safe, especially for I guess makes it more sense for live streaming sites. Okay, if you get a huge influx of reports, it might mean that somebody is making something illegal here, some sort of illegal content, so maybe it should be shut down. Then again, with AI, it's becoming even worse. AI, artificial intelligence, or actually Indians? It's kind of both. I don't like Indians, not in my technology. They can be in their countries, without being annoying. Its helped survivors would be called the largest cultural exchange in history. A little lost in the barbecue memes is the significance of AI translation and how users are now communicating in their own language in greater real time with others who don't speak it. I'm not a big fan of this. I understand that the AI translation is really useful, but I still think that learning languages is also really valuable. And kind of important because AI might miss some cultural context, might make it too localized. I've seen that. What do you mean? These Japanese people are saying, for real, they're not Zoomers from the US, okay? That, to be fair, if they're saying some stuff like Majide, kinda makes sense. Let me do this, by the way, it's great. It's actually Pokemon music, so of course you like it. This is an early winter day with Pokemon music that makes you feel rest to work. This is Freezington from Pokemon Sword and Shield. I can copy you the videos you want. Hold up. There we go. I've been using this channel as background for a little bit. It's usually really nice. Though, they kind of repeat a lot of tracks, sadly. But, I mean, as long as they're good. being understood. It's just the first step to a post-language internet. It's going to fundamentally change how we interact. While Roxy translation still makes errors, this week in Japanese accounts were puzzle as it translated Prime Minister Stono Takaichi to English as Yoshihiko Noda, that's a completely different name. A former leader who resigned some 14 years ago. Such mistakes are becoming the exception. I bet the low classes for video games and anime are sitting right now. I'm not saying this is an AI bro or an AI shield. I'm truly not. I've criticized, and I keep criticizing AI a whole lot. But it becomes the current situation where human translators either are not skilled enough or refuse to translate properly. So you have to resort to machine demons. You'd rather use the machine demons because you can actually manipulate them to your own whims and devices. Sucks to suck, I guess. Fuck around and find out, as they say. But the breakdown of the language barrier is a double-edged sword. Japanese tuber has been insulated from the culture wars and manipulation by foreign bots. Ooh, that's not entirely correct. That's not entirely correct. They have been attacked by the culture wars because apparently they have some, I don't know if it's just TV channels or whatever, but they do have the extreme leftists with their strange propaganda. Everybody hates you. You shouldn't have any kind of national pride and such messages. And on top of that, the Chinese propaganda. It's not that uncommon to see, at least on Twitter before this exchange. Oh, see? Everything that makes Japan, Japan, it's actually Chinese. So maybe you should like China. Well, I'm gonna say being chill into that, I suppose. I don't even know what it means. Whereas the political discourse remains reasonably sane. Yeah, you don't know anything about Japan and it shows, but that's fine, I guess. With Japan's election in February already the target of foreign influence operations, Japan Times, they are extremely biased against Japan and they appear to not know anything. Huh, maybe these are the leftists. Things will all increase as the cost of high-quality translation approaches zero, and it's a broader race of opening the floodgates of an online community. Others used to speak of eternal September, the moment the nascent internet was opened up to the influence of new members, and in the eyes of some, ruined forever. I have no desire to return to the internet of the early 90s. Many would agree that it was a happier place a decade or more ago, despite all the technological progress. Well, as I always say, an evolution doesn't imply an improvement. Yet in Japanese students of the greater web could result in its ancientification. I want to believe their new Japanese overlords will help us, but maybe that's also a cope. Sheer love of grilling made the world, at least for a little while, feel smaller, but may also have made one corner of the internet harder to keep rare. I saw some people airing their worries about this. I don't think they're entirely wrong. I get it, I understand. But at the same time, I do think that communication and information are pretty important. Well, what a shocker, right? I say that all the time. Hold up. Yeah, it didn't crack. Shame. But I guess that's fine. Japan, our greatest ally. But for real this time. Do think they might be a little too prone to becoming vassals too? But who isn't at this range, right? What else do we have here? Speaking of Japan, Canada, we mentioned this the other day while playing Pokemon, I think? Was it on Wednesday or Thursday? I don't remember. But we're having a short article for this, which is nice. I probably missed some information, so... USPTO rejects Nintendo's controversial Summon Character and Let It Fight. Pokemon patent in a final ruling. As Pokemon legal battle rumbles on. Still a long way to go. Another from April 1st. It keeps happening. The USPTO has rejected Nintendo's controversial Summon Character and Let It Fight Pokemon patent, after it was heavily criticized by IP lawyers last year. Yeah, it was criticized by IP lawyers, but I don't think it was criticized properly when it was being filed, which is kind of insane. I guess videos may be too new for some of these lawyers. They may not understand that some of these things are not that unique. In November, the director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office ordered a re-examination of the patent after IP lawyers had criticized the US patent system and the USPTO for awarding it. At the time, IP expert Troy Mueller did a social media to say Nintendo should never have received a 7-character unidentified patent in the first place. While video game patent lawyer Kirk Sigmund, and what kind of naming is this guy, told PC Gamer these claims were in no way allowable. Isn't the Pokemon Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is like Alder and Takaichi is like Jira? I didn't know Alder was heavy into reading competitive Pokemon, but I guess that makes sense. Breed perfect AV, Japanese babies. Do it now. I don't like the Shinzo Abe memes. Kind of insane how they killed the guy. See, there's not a gun problem in Japan. I think that's something said by Hassan Piker, and people were like, yeah, I said the guy that made a makeshift gun and killed Shinzo Abe, for example. What are you talking about, guy? Once again, communist lying, more likely than you think. Not a big fan of Hassan Piker, that's for sure. Not because of the dog, but because of the terrorism. Nintendo, the Pokemon Company, are currently embroiled in ongoing litigation with Pocket Pair's Palworld in Japan. And patents are at the heart of the lawsuit. This particular patent sums up how Pokemon games work in... They use 7 Pokemon to battle other Pokemon, in the hope of adding them to your collection. But, as was pointed out last year, there are countless other games that use similar mechanics, such as Persona, Digimon, and even Elden Ring, depending upon how the patent is interpreted. Even way older games, maybe not older than OG Pokemon, but older than current age Pokemon. Many MMOs that they use with some mechanics, so it didn't make any sense. My favorite name is this one. I'm not asking anymore. Aishu National Order. Have sex. I'm a big proponent of Shinzo Abe memes. I have made some my own even. I think even I uploaded one to Twitter. But it didn't catch on. What a shame. I don't even remember the context. I think it was a crossover with Pokemon of all things. PS3 reported that the USPTO rejected all claims of the patent in question, based on prior art references in the form of published US patent applications. PS3 said 2 of those earlier patent applications were filed by Nintendo itself, and then one each by Konami and Bandai Namco. Konami still alive making games? What is this? 2008? Wow, Order of Ecclesia, what a great game. And then they never released anything. Can I ignore this Lots games, I'm gonna ignore Curse of Belmont, I'm gonna ignore the strange spin-offs they have with DLC stuff in Dead by Daylight. Why do you have Castlevania in Dead by Daylight? It doesn't make any sense. Oh no, look, someone's a survivor. Are you mad? Are you insane? The reincarnation of Dracula. Oh no! Those scary slasher guys from American movies are gonna get me. Hellfire, Soul Stealer, Valkyrie. Do you think the guy fears for his life? No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. They also have like Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil. I don't know. Not a big fan of just Infinite DLC, but that's an entirely different conversation. They just mentioned Konami and they went on a huge tangent. Don't let me talk about Nexusvania, okay? Do not. Say what I mean, I just don't like the Indians. It's worth noting that this reaction is non-final, so there's a long way to go before Nintendo accepts the decision. It may appeal, for example, which would drag this out even longer. They probably will, I'm assuming. But what will be of most importance is its potential impact on the lawsuit with Pocket Bear. It's been on quest since October last year. I mean, law is usually really slow anyways, that's normal. And here they're just gonna mention Palworld and Pocket Pair. Main patterns, we know about that, I covered this exhaustively. So then Pocket Pair has been changed to Palworld's disputed mechanics. November 2024 patch, for example, removed the ability to summon pals by throwing Pokemon-like Palm Spheres. Which has been a really annoying change. Because now you spawn them besides you. So if you want to throw them to some sort of appliance or mechanism in your brain so they start working, now it's much more difficult. It's really annoying. Emails here, another problem will have to change how you can play the game. I'll decline the mechanics. Surely Breath of the Wild made them up first. Hey, I remember gliding in Ion many years ago. It was not actually a glider, it was wings. It's the same. I don't care. Yeah, just a summary of what's been going on here, which makes sense. I've seen Nintendo take L after L in this case. They're too litigious for my liking. I don't design Nintendo games, but Nintendo's a company way too litigious, I'm afraid. And I've seen some people mentioning that maybe they went to this lawsuit with Palworld because of Pokopia. Because if you see Pokopia, they have a lot of overlap with Palworld. Not saying that's bad, but they probably wanted their exclusive niche for themselves. Which is understandable, but you can just weaponize patterns for that and win. Thankfully. However, speaking of Pokemon, be careful. They might be infecting your brain. What kind of parasite is this? Is this a Paras? Not quite. Scientists discover unique brain development that only exists in people who played Pokemon as kids. All the stars might have been worth it after all. Hey, that's a good parasite then. Better than the actual Paras Pokemon. Playing Pokemon when you were younger might have actually advanced your brain in a way few others experienced. As a shocking new scientific study outlines this unique development. Anyone who found a love for gaming from a young age is bound to have experienced plenty of moments when your parents had to pull you away from the screen, and there's a good chance that you might have been playing Pokemon at the very moment. How did you know that? Hey, Harry, how do you know that? Is this guy a fed? For many, Nintendo's synonymous with Pokemon, while not technically being a first-party title, and the quest to catch them all often led to hours and hours of playtime across countless childhoods. What a shame! The catching them all is not a thing anymore. Unless you use Pokemon Home, maybe? I understand they have way too many Pokemon, but still. There was also that, I don't know if it was a tweet, or actually said by somebody from Game Freak or the Pokemon Company, that maybe, someday, they will finally have more than 10,000 Pokemon. We have more than 1,000, I already think it's way too much. And some cynics might call that time wasted. Once you drop a new scientific study, has revealed that it likely contributed to unique developments in the brain, perhaps giving Pokemon lovers a cognitive advantage over everyone else. See, I played Pokemon, that's why I'm so smart. It's just a kid's game, is it really? It's shared by a Stanford report. Researchers at Stanford University have discovered that adults who played Pokemon extensively as children have developed a dedicated brain region for storing information regarding the Pocket monsters, which then leads to preferential activation. Wait, hold up. Is that actually useful? I don't know, that starts to feel a little bit like brain rot. The functional organization of human high-level visual cortex, such as the face, and plays selective regions, is strictly consistent across individuals, a study published in Nature Human Behavior Posits. An answer question in neuroscience concerns which dimensions of visual information constrain the development and topography of the shared brain organization. It continues, boosting the unique experience of Pokemon-loving children is a means to find the answer. We show not only that adults who have Pokemon experience demonstrate distinct distributed cortical responses to Pokemon, but also that the experience retinal eccentricity during childhood captured the locus of Pokemon responses in adulthood. The study illustrates. Is this just about pattern recognition? It might be, which is not something that strange, right? And there are many studies about that. My favorite one is made with 1-day-old babies that actually showcases how male babies prioritize shapes in the things they get shown, and female babies prioritize faces. I'm assuming human faces. So that's how the brain works, I suppose. The study's first author, Jesse Gomez. Wow, I didn't know Jesse was Mexican? Where's James? Was an avid Pokemon lover himself at an early age. Oh, I guess that's the guy. Whoops. And it's his own experience to wonder Why so many people are able to retain this information in a dedicated space as opposed to similar material like cars? What's unique about Pokemon is there are hundreds of characters and you have to know everything about them in order to play the game successfully, Gomez explains. I mean, maybe not everything, but I'm assuming broad stat distribution and the typings, but you should understand the typings when you see the designs. Some types are a little bit strange, I will give you that, but if you see a fish, well, it's probably a water type. If you see a plant, well, it's probably a grass type. And if you see something covered in fire, it's either dead or a fire type. So I don't know if it's exactly like that. The game rewards you for individuating hundreds of these little similar looking characters. I figured if you don't get a region for that, then it's never going to happen. What's not possible right now to prove that Pokemon is the only thing that prompts these unique brain strains to be created is one of the only non-name or face properties that possess such a distinction, which is quite a discovery. And that's a different article, right? Yes, it is. I don't like how they do that. Just articles upon articles. And you can just keep scrolling. While literal brain rot, not a big fan of that. That's somewhat surprising. I wonder if it has to do with the designs? And maybe that's why other similar games, other monster collectors, were not as successful, because maybe they lacked this information retaining component that Pokemon has. That's quite a curious thing to study, not gonna lie. Maybe that's why also some fun games struggle a lot. At least it happened to me. I mentioned before the whole Puppet Dance performance, which is a Pokemon inspired, even though the mechanics are pretty much the same. The whole RPG. Once again, the basic mechanics are just Pokemon. It's a 1v1, catching is a little bit different, and they have a different type chart. And sure, they have, instead of evolutions, they have style change, and they can have 2 or 3 different styles, and each style may be wildly different from each other. But I had so much trouble remembering the types, it was not even funny. I always had the type chart on the side, and I was trying to think, okay, what type could you be? Steel? Wind? Illusion? I have no idea. Let's tap this. Oh, immune. Whoops, that's a big mistake. I guess this also helps in the case, because of course you played Pokemon since you were really young, right? Some people more young than others, for sure. Some of the most surprising research, I mean, Stanford in California is really home to the maximum professors who played Pokemon right from Gen 1 as a kid. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I guess the issue was actually when they started changing type effectiveness, like Dark being weak to bug, etc. It didn't really change too much. I usually struggle more with abilities like Sturdy. I have Sturdy, not a big deal. Oh shit, hold up, it's the new Sturdy. That's a big problem. And I think the biggest change was Fairy type in Gen 6, right? Not only they added Gen 6, the Fairy type, which also affects a bunch of stuff, got me a little bit too old. And Fairy type is not that prolific still. But it will change some other interactions, like suddenly Steel is no longer resisting ghosts or dark types. And why not? Well, maybe Steel was already too powerful, right? That makes sense. There were also a couple of changes in Gen 2. That was just the addition of Steel and Dark types. But now Bug, instead of being weak to poison, is resistant, I think? And something else, not just the bug with the ghost and psychic interaction. I was really annoying the Fairy type. Yeah, against the balancing type, but I hate Fairy as a concept being strong to dragons, design-wise. It's somewhat tame. I understand why they did that, but I don't know if Fairy was the best name to give it. Dragon was way too prolific in Gen 5, especially Gen 5. You would see the hyper-offensive of Dragon types, Fighting types, or Dark types. Whoops, all 3 of them are weak to Fairy, I wonder why. I guess it kinda is easier to implement that light, something like that. Dragons are not necessarily evil after all, but eh, it is strange. Maybe they shouldn't be immune to dragon. They should have gone with something like holy type. I guess the implementation could be a little bit strange. Just have a lot of people nowadays trying to maybe not force, but calling for the implementation of light type or sound type, and I'm like, hey, do you know what kind of game has those? Duh, Puppet Dance Performance, completely different game, but you have those. I do think that sound is way better than as just a keyword. It's fine. There's not enough stuff. Some type is legitimate though. I'm not a big fan of it. Could probably buff some Pokemon like Exploud, but that's probably it. I do like the normal types. Do not take them away from me. Makes sense logically. Does it really? I mean, if you have Ice, if you have Psychic, Sound is not that outlandish. I guess I just don't like it. And I'm biased. Blame me if you must. But I wonder if this brain mechanism of being able to remember Pokemon actually helps you with other stuff. I know, maybe just have a really good memory, but I do remember a lot of stuff about games I have played, not just Pokemon. Especially the MMOs I played. Hey, the best stat distribution, this one. Haven't played the game in like 10 years or more. That one's the best stat distribution. Because you need to hit those specific numbers. Why do I remember? I have no idea. I guess I'm just too smart. Where's my Pokemon Professor Diploma? I guess not. Well, I did complete the Pokédex back in Gen 6, if I remember correctly. But I don't think that counts. Interesting. I thought this was just curious, not gonna lie. What do we have here? We have a bit of a strange stuff here. Before we get into a strange change of events. So we have some strange stuff from anime in the West. Just when you thought Crunchyroll couldn't sink any lower, one of the Anime Awards judges is an anime DA consultant. Anime DA consultant is just insane to me. And Nani Abang, founder of Anime and Chill, the UK's leading anime and gaming community. Irene Bang is a multi-award winning community founder, creative technologist. What a fun word. That's something you see a lot. An entertainment creator working across the global anime and gaming industry. She leads Anime and Chill, the UK's leading anime and gaming community known for their community-driven events. I mean, a community known for being community-driven? You would hope so, I guess. With over a decade of experience in UK anime fandom, and as a long anime fan, Anne is an established figure recognized for connecting the scene and championing spaces for underrepresented audiences. She has contributed to large scale convention programming, and curation, and consults with entertainment brands on DEI, community engagement, and influencer marketing, creating campaigns with authentic voices in the anime community. What? What? I just understand this. I just don't understand. Why is this strange and insane obsession with diversity, equity, and inclusion in anime? It just makes no fucking sense. Just watch the fucking anime. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's it. This is probably bad. But you need more representation in the actual stories themselves. Well, no, they're Japanese productions, so they do Japanese stuff. And when they deviate, it's usually a bad idea for them. It gets better. Hold up, this is a different tweet. Well, that explains a lot. We're totally going live today to roast this year's Crunchyroll Anime Awards. Oh boy. Who do we have here? David Opie? The entertainment journalist from the UK who writes about gay and geeky stuff for IndieWire, Empire, Games Radar and more. He loves to celebrate anime, horror and queer storytelling through his writing, which might explain his obsession with The Summer He Could Have Died. To hear his ramblings on queer film and TV, check out David's newsletter, Cruising Cinema. I know it probably doesn't have to do a lot with this, but I find really surprising and pretty stupid when you see people going on about how Japan is so pro LGBT and all that because they have yuri and yaoi, completely misunderstanding the point of those genres. Yaoi is not for the gay men. Yuri is not for the gay women. Yaoi is for the straight women. That Fuyoshi are a strange breed, I will give you that. And Yuri is usually meant for straight men. It's seen as not something serious, it's seen as something cute. It has nothing to do with the gays. How do we know this? Did you know what's the genre for actual gay males in Japan? That's Bara, which is big burly males, not twinks. And they will tell you, but Japan, this racist and homophobic country. Which is it? Are they homophobic or are they pro-gay? You're gonna have both. You know what? It's probably neither. It's a different culture. Who else do they have here? Elijah Gonzalez from the US. Sure. He's an associate editor at the AV Club, where he writes about the latest and greatest in anime, games and movies. He's also a member of the Television Critics Association. Rotten Tomatoes approved critic. Ha! Funny. He has a master's degree in journalism. Derogatory. In case you were wondering, his favorite anime is Evangelion, of course it is. Normie pick. Lee. Senior social media for Nerdist. And Travis, the senior social media manager for Nerdist, who stayed up too late watching anime in middle school. Wow, what a qualification. And Tamur, he's about to redeem. Managing editor of GameSpot, news outlet focusing on games, entertainment coverage, a streamer on Twitch, hilarious, and has the basketball podcast called Just Us, a Golden State Warriors podcast. He started watching anime when he was a child, and has been obsessed with the medium since. But these guys have a weird look on their face while posing for a photograph. I do agree that some of these look kinda funky, especially this guy. He looks really funny. But I cannot really blame people for not being photogenic. That's not quite the skill you can have. Okay, let's see. Even with the partnership, ReZero only has one nomination. In 1 hour you'll see who Crunchyroll has dominated the nominations this year for the Anime Awards. It is on solo leveling, so they have Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill Season 2. Disney Twisted Wonderland, the animation, Season 1. From Bureaucrat to Villainous, that's been reincarnated. Konosuba, Stage 3, makes sense. ReZero, Season 3, and Senshu. I haven't seen that one, but I don't think Senshu is actually an isekai. That's really weird. It's not just that, it's like being uniquely cave reading until they're pulled out to take a photo. Hey, that could be me, okay? It's not that bad. Okay, they have the woman here. More information, maybe? The full in-depth live stream covering the Anime Awards. Let's see. Well, that explains a lot. Now, the Crunchyroll is independent, operated joint venture from Sony. Of course it is. The LDR, Sony Group Japan, probably has no idea that Putney is running the company into the ground. Our commitment to diversity and inclusion. Okay, once again, we know exactly what they mean, so I had to play the part of the fool, which I enjoy doing a lot. Is there an actual barrier for minorities to watch anime? I don't think so. How do we know? Especially in the US, right? Latinos love Dragon Ball, they love anime. Anime has been bigger in Latin America than in the US for the longest time. What? Of course, what they mean is, yeah, you need more minorities in the actual productions. But you can't really do that. Because it's Japanese production. They kinda are very a minority. You don't really have a lot of Japanese people in the world. But it's seen as white adjacent, which is insanity. Do you think they're like us? Of course not, they're Japanese. They're unique in their own way, and that's fine. Mission of helping people belong reflects our commitment to diversity and inclusion, just the way we do business. And they will tell you DEI is dead. No, it's not. Just that people stop looking. Myself included, by the way. I shouldn't have, but I'm also just a single guy with a lot of flaws. I might forget some stuff. We're an equal opportunity employer and value diversity at Crunchyroll. Pursuant to applicable law, we do not discriminate on the basis of race, religion, color, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, age, marital status, veteran status, or disability status. If that was the case, you will need to understand about it. Because of course you would get somebody that's actually skilled without caring anything about these shallow characteristics. Crunchyroll is an independently operated joint venture between US-based Johnny? Showtime! Wrong guy. US-based Sony Pictures Entertainment and Japan's Aniplex, a subsidiary of the Toyo clan, and Sony Music Entertainment Japan Inc., both subsidiaries of Tokyo-based Sony Group Corporation. Now, what's this? Anime Chill LinkedIn post. Oh boy, it's getting even more spicy. Partner and collaborate with industry leaders including Crunchyroll, Bandai Namco Entertainment, Europe, BBC Sport, Red Bull Gaming, Sony Pictures Entertainment, and more. And let's brands on entering and authentically engaging the anime and gaming space, from go-to-market strategy to DA integration, to large-scale convention design and entertainment. Once again, DA in gaming doesn't make any fucking sense, but here we are because, oh, the government is gonna give me money. One for products milestones has been securing event sponsorship year after year from the amazing Crunchyroll, a global leader in anime distribution. I wish it wasn't. Incredible validation of our commitment to uplifting diverse voices and fostering cultural inclusivity. The fuck do you mean cultural inclusivity with anime, pal? It's Japanese! What are you talking about? Okay, let's skim a little bit. Okay, this seems promising. Second paragraph in the image. This moment is extra special because it aligns beautifully with the mission of Anime in Chile UK, the community organization we founded. Since launching in 2020, COVID waves, a massive mistake. Anime in Chile has grown into one of the UK's leading anime and gaming communities, creating a space that makes all things nerd culture accessible, safe, and inclusive. Okay. It's nerd shit! How is this not accessible, safe, and inclusive? Already. We've hosted over 50 events since inception, both online and in person, bringing together thousands of attendees, connecting fans from South Korea to Slovakia, and collaborating with major names in the industry like Sony and the Japan National Tourism Organization. From South Korea to Slovakia. What about the UK? Doesn't that make any sense? Hold up. For events, consultancy, and entertainment destination, we create one-of-a-kind experiences. From sold-out box park takeovers to programming for AnimeCon London and Birmingham. Are they shit? I wouldn't know, but they kinda seem like shit. Maybe that's me hating on the UK too much. Provide opportunities for and spotlighting over 100 diverse creators, from performers to cosplayers to influencers, which is normal shit I do. Partner and collaborate with the companies we mentioned before. Okay, that's the same quote we just read from the post. Now being featured in BBC Culture feels like a powerful extension of our work, celebrating anime's cultural resonance, and amplify the stories of inclusive communities. I'm thrilled to continue growing the space, connecting fans, creators, and brands in meaningful ways. If you're passionate about anime, gaming, community building, or cultural inclusion, I'd love to connect and explore how we can collaborate to create more vibrant, welcoming spaces together. What am I looking at? I'm gonna be real. I know it's selling what I'm looking at, but I still don't like it. Okay, you're mixing a lot of shit here that has nothing to do with each other. On one hand, no shit. Anime, gaming, understandable. Community building, I can get it in the current year. Cultural inclusion. What are you talking about? What is this cultural inclusion to speak of? What is this fucking nonsense you are speaking? Because at the end of the day, it's nothing more than actual nonsense. Cultural inclusion. Don't you think anime is already inclusive as it is? We're Westerners watching Japanese content. Fuck, I said content. Japanese productions. Don't you think that's diverse? Then again, these people are race obsessed. And if you're not dark enough, you're just white. And they call me racist, by the way. They call me racist. Get the fuck out of here, pal. I'm sick of you people. Absolutely fucking bonkers. Make it make sense. You can't. Everything will be great when all of faces of society are filled with black and Latino people, I guess. What if you just want to be left alone? Well, congratulations. Now you're Hitler's strongest soldier. Well, fuck me, I suppose. Time to become German. Ah, shit, never thought I said something like that. Ah, the guy's actually Austrian. Do I look like I care? Looking like this? Come on. Of course I don't. So kinda no wonder the Crunchyroll is just shit nowadays. And not the only one that's insanely bad, by the way. Netflix has no excuse being this bad either. But then again, Netflix, am I right? So I guess it shouldn't be that surprising. What do they have here? I guess we're touching some strange stuff here. A little bit of miscellaneous articles in the beginning. We've been yapping for an hour already, but don't mind me. It's been fun. But this is hilarious. Not quite a Schadenfreude, but a I told you so. Oh, how did I know this? Well. How could I know? 2/3 of under 16s with accounts on Instagram, Snapchat, or TikTok kept access despite the ban. Meta, TikTok, and Google being investigated for allegedly disobeying Australia's social media ban. It's not about the platforms. It's about the technology. It's the government wanting to use technology to rule. There's a problem. They have no idea. They don't know anything about technology, really. So they're gonna keep failing. All the time. I said this on stream months ago. Who was right? This guy, every single time. Don't worry, I also hate it. The Australian government has accused big tech firms like Meta, TikTok, and Google of disobeying the landmark ban on under 16s using social media, after the country's online safety office warned many children had accounts. In a survey of 900 Australian parents found around a third, 31%, said their children still had one or more social media accounts after the ban, compared to 49% before the laws. That's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. Because what this means, it's not that it has about 2/3 of hit rate for banning minors. It has 31 to 49 in percentage. It's actually lower than that. It might seem bigger, because it's relative, right? But if you're 49% of guys with accounts went down to 31%, that's a lowering of 18%. Not 18% of total accounts, but 18% of minors. So that means they have about roughly a third, 1 in 3, of actually hitting somebody. Yeah, that's not a success rate at all. And total number of under 16s who had accounts on Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok before the ban, 70% had maintained access, the survey found. Wow, it doesn't work. Shocking. And Thursday it was revealed that Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube were all under investigation for potential non-compliance with the rules, with Australia's Communications Minister, Annika Wells, alleging the companies were not doing enough to enforce the ban. The Safety Commission claimed the technology being used by the companies, such as facial age estimation, was not effective enough, and alleged the firms had lax guardrails, which allowed teams to repeatedly attempt age verification until they were successful. Fucking hilarious, man. And this kinda brings up a different question, but I think it's a really important one. As we've read before, one of the leading schizo theories for age verification is just so you can distinguish between real people and bots. However, you also need to distinguish between adults and minors, because there's a bunch of laws about minors, like this one for example. However, that's a big problem, because one of the mechanisms used for age verification is facial age estimation. Facial age estimation can fail quite heavily, as we've seen. People being 25 plus being deemed under 16s with Discord. But the opposite can also happen. What if you're 15 or 16 and this age verification says, oh, you know what, you're actually 21. Now you're liable to more stuff because you're actually not putting in danger the minors, which will be against the spirit of the law, despite me thinking this law is actually pretty shit in general. But you could be saving information from minors that's completely illegal. Saying what was gonna happen, this is gonna blow up. This is gonna blow up in their faces. It can only blow up in their faces, honestly. And I'm gonna say it, they kinda deserve it. So, good riddance. How is it possible that something like that could happen? It's actually really easy. As somebody that was 15 and 16 before, I can tell you. Now that everybody looks the same, and I could have a full beard when I was 16. So I could look much older than what it was. So age verification with AI would fail. Was way before this, but the point still stands. None of this is impossible. None of this is even difficult for big tech, who are innovative billion-dollar companies. What this they chose is unacceptable, well said in Canberra on Tuesday. And if companies wanted the business in Australia, they must obey Australian laws. Once again, the government knowing nothing about technology. It's not that these companies cannot do better checks. It's that what you want, really, is the companies to ask for your papers as soon as possible. It shouldn't be surprising from a place like Australia. They have strange COVID camps. But it is still disappointing, because this will be seen as a great example of how to run the country, which it clearly isn't. Social media minimum age laws specify that Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Threads, TikTok, Twitch, X, YouTube, Kick, and Reddit are age-restricted platforms, banning under 16s from holding accounts and requiring those companies to take responsible steps to prevent children from opening or holding accounts. It's kinda fucking funny, because it's just the government deciding, you know what, these places are not for kids. I do agree that some of these places shouldn't be for kids. Like, probably Snapchat mainly. Maybe Instagram. TikTok just should be banned in my opinion. But now you're forcing these companies to have legal checks that were never the case. And even if we want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are trying their best, for you that's not enough. Because at the end of the day, you're nothing more than an authoritarian government. The laws which came into effect last December carry a maximum of 49.5 million Australian dollars, which is 33.9 million USD, penalty. Like I said, e-safety was continuing to gather evidence before it decided whether to pursue such fines against any company. This is kind of funny, right? Okay, you have the laws, and you don't really give them... I have to say this. The proper steps on how to implement them, right? According to the law, because that's what these politicians were telling us, I'm assuming, this age verification is done correctly. But now, suddenly for them, it's not good enough. Which is it? Which is it? Of course, it will never be enough, because at the end of the day, these technologies just cannot work as they wish. How is it impossible for me to tell at a glance the age of somebody? Well, shit, I don't know, because we have different DNA, and we just happen to be different. What do you want from me, woman? What do you want from me? God damn it. No more women in the government. Holy shit. Guys do this too, okay? It's not just the women, of course. It's just an insane situation from both sides of the political spectrum, trying to fuck people over. Just trying to funny haha joke, which guess is not working. What we're seeing is evidence of the absolute bare minimum from social media companies. It's straight out of the big tech playbook. The obfuscate, they try to throw doubt on any regulations, she said. You don't know what you're doing, which is hilarious. You're actually giving these huge tech companies really sensible information that maybe you shouldn't give them. Surprise, surprise. They want you all to report today that the laws are failing. That helps them in their quest to reduce regulation, to minimize it the world over. I kind of thought they were gonna say something different. That's why I stopped. It didn't surprise me any of this. We expected this. It's actually big tech that's pushing for this, as we've seen. It's Meta who's pushing for this. Apparently just because of hacking ads. But of course, it's not that they are obfuscating. The law had to fail because you don't understand what you're trying to legislate. I don't know how many times I can say this, or in how many ways I can word it, but that's the main problem. You're trying to regulate something you don't understand. You're trying to equate it to, like, the disco or the pub, but it's not, because it's not a physical location with physical people. It's a digital location with, I guess, digital people to some extent. But you need to use digital measures. The problem with digital measures is just a bunch of electricity at the end of the day. Some 1 2 zeros beep boop. That's really legit. And that's not even the issue. The issue is that if you want to legislate this, and you can legislate it if you want because you're doing so, it's gonna be a bigger problem. Because instead of just a waiter taking a quick glance at your ID, they're just storing millions of ID images, millions of selfies, millions of different pieces of information for single individuals in a server. You know what's gonna happen with that? They're gonna steal that information, or they're gonna sell that information, or you're gonna get fucked with that information. Legally or illegally, because it happens every single fucking time. How do we know this? Because we've been seeing this happening every single fucking time. UK government, the app, you mentioned it, it happened, and it will happen again. In his statement, Meta said it was committed to complying with social media ban and working with e-safety and the government. It also been clear that accurately determining agent lying is a challenge for the whole industry, particularly at the H16 battery, where the government's own H-assurance technology trial noted natural error margins. Not only that, but you're also forcing them to add several types of age verification, because in some countries it's not under 16s, it's under 15s, or it might be under 17s, or just under 18s, or under 21s, or under 13s. But the AI cannot fucking tell without giving it the ID, which I'm assuming is actually the end game. Fucking government, dude. The most effective, privacy protective, and consistent approach is to require robust age verification and parental approval at the App Store and operating system level before thinking downloading app or creating an account. You fucking slime balls. Meta doing meta things. You know what? Your age verification is as our age verification, which doesn't affect us directly, is the best way to go. And even if it did, we have special software we've made for the reviewer system they have, so we can actually both use it and sell it. What a great business opportunity. Do you think everything might be about the money? Of course. Of course it is. Downloading app or creating accounts, which is fucking hilarious. Do you know that everything technology is just a phone? What do you mean, downloading app or creating accounts? I'm missing a computer, you fucking animal. You filthy fucking animal, you don't know anything, and it shows. People that started using technology yesterday, gonna tell me what technology is about. Hilarious. The Tech and Google were contacted for comment, but did not respond by publication time, as usual. The government said in January more than 4.7 million social media accounts were deactivated, removed, or restricted in the first days after the ban came into effect on December 10th last year. But declined to provide the disaggregated number of how many accounts were removed from each platform. The Syrian government has trumpeted Orange Man. This existed the ban, including promoting it at the United Nations in New York. But anecdotal reports that many children remain online have entered the policy's outcome. You can also use AI to destroy the AI. I mentioned this before. I think that's enough, right? Insurance compliance report on the legislation. More than 3 months on from the law coming into force, Insecti said, despite the rule of reductions in account ownership, a substantial proportion of children under 16 retain accounts on age-restricted platforms. Because you have face age verification, and you can just use video game characters, or you could just use AI. Wow. Using AI to cheat the AI. Okay, Thanos. Conducted a survey of nearly 900 parents, with many saying their kids still had access to social media. But the parents who reported their child having an account on each platform prior to December 10, 2025, around 7 in 10 reported their child still had an account on Facebook, 53.6%, Instagram, 69.1%, Snapchat, 69.4%, and TikTok, 69.3%. I bet these parents are just giving their ideas to the kids so they can just age verify themselves. Or just the kids are getting their ideas from their parents on their own. Getting them from the walls and whatnot. Classic strat. But once again, this just begs the question, doesn't it? Why? If you are so worried about your kids, why don't you parent properly? If you're also worried about your kids, and you should be worried about your kids, especially nowadays, why do you let social media raise them? Why do you let the country, the government of the country, parent literally everybody? I'm an adult. Fuck you. Around 3 in 10 reported that their child no longer had an account. 1 in 2 of these parents, 14.5%, reported that their child still had an account on YouTube following this restriction confirming coming into effect, the report said. Prior to the ban, the survey respondents said about 49.7% of the kids on social media post-ban. That was down to 31.3%. It's not a great success rate, once again. The Albanese government has long considered that not all kids would be immediately removed from their accounts, but that the laws would reduce the number and help parents set their own household rules. These fucking parents should be punished. And I'm not even joking. If you get some of these parents in the... how do you call these places? In the Times Square, Holly. Take me a little bit. And we just start whipping them like an insane animal. Just whip them left and right. Wah, 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 wah. We just give them 50 lashes each. This would fucking stop. Because you cannot tell me nowadays that parents don't have enough tools to properly check and monitor and control what the kids do on their devices. First of all, why the fuck do they have devices? Why do you give your kid a smartphone with unfettered control, unfettered access to the internet? It's security. Maybe they need to call me, maybe they need to send a message. Give them an old phone. Just an old phone, it's fine. No internet, no apps, no fucking Android. They even cost pennies. They're so cheap. They are still around. If they can and need to call you, they will. If they can, or they need to message you, they will. Because you can do that with those phones. But no, because you don't fucking care. These parents are the failure of modern society. They do not care about their fucking kids. Which is the most insane thing of all of this. These parents shouldn't be parents. Even if you want to give them something with access to the internet, there are a myriad of parental controls you can implement. Or you can just tell the kid, you know what, you're gonna show me what you're doing. And if I don't like it, I'm gonna punish you. You're gonna be deleting that app, that account, or whatever, and I will take your devices for a specified amount of time. But you cannot properly parent the kids, you cannot punish them. That's so evil, that's so mean. You're just a bunch of fucking weak idiots, and I hate every single one of you. Because you're incapable. You don't have the capability, the skill, or the desire to properly raise your kids. So, yes, please, government, legislate me more. People disgust me to no end. The safety report stated the most common reason children still have their social media accounts was that they had not yet been asked by the platform to verify their age. And was concerned there were numerous poor practices in the case of their platforms of undertaking. Of course. They also mentioned, we have some AI algorithms that will check if by your activity if you're an adult or not. Of course, something like that would never fail, right? That would never fail. He claims some platforms were encouraging children to attempt age assurance, even though the declared age in the service was under 16. Because technology is not perfect, and it can fail. There are many conditions for the image. In actual image that may be of an adult, and it actually looks like an adult. To be seen is in under 16. Could be with outfighting, lighting, many different issues. Or just the eye not being good enough. So it's not surprising. Allow this to repeatedly attempt the same method of age assurance. The safety office also claims some services didn't have easy pathways to report underage users. In particular, safety said that facial age estimation had higher error rates, close to the 16-year-old cutoff, and that some platforms could have known some children aged 15 or 15 would receive false results of being judged to be over 16. What the fuck did you expect? Of course! That's how people work. Some people look younger, some people look older. Oh my goodness, the AI doesn't know whether it's esoteric means that this kid is not actually 15, it's actually 16. How is that possible? You people are the most insane I've ever seen in my life. I'm sick of this. I'm fucking sick of this. But let us rejoice. Let us rejoice for a second. Let me turn the heat down for a little bit before I explode again. So, Easter, huh? Yeah, I just hate this government's being real stupid. I need to jump to something else. Please understand. Easter, huh? Hey, the Easter rabbit, that's so funny. Guys has a £10, $140 chocolate Easter money, but you need a hammer to eat it. A hammer? Are you perhaps mocking me? Do you think I cannot crack this on my own? Huh. We'll see about that. It's all ears and chocolate, just in time for Easter. Costco's selling a £10 gin chocolate bunny, and you need a hammer to eat it. Can't we eat the hammer too? Hey, it's summertime. The edible bunny is listed on Costco.com, a range of prices depending on local market conditions. With board as low as $57, it's actually really low. That's crazy, for the US at least. And some in-store shoppers have spotted it for up to $140. Made of milk chocolate, white chocolate, and dark chocolate, the semi-solid bunny consists of 151 servings, with 150 calories per serving. You keep saying that, but I'm not so sure. As hair rising, 22,650 calories for the whole rabbit. Malbarab, the Minnesota food company that makes the bunny, told the USA Today that it's made from first sweet chocolate. It's only been sold at Costco for now. Chocolate bunny is perfect for surprising the kids on Easter morning, or as a showstopper centerpiece when entertaining. The company said in a statement to the outlet. Malbarab's Instagram post about the chocolate bunny revealed that his name is Pete. Pete's 10 pounds of smooth, rich chocolate thrown centerpiece. Best showstopper and Instagram sensation. Instagram. Is that a joke? The post said, first he's admired, then he's character cut. A fantastic moment that turns a bunny spectacle into shareable bites. One giant bunny, 100 little moments of chocolate. You know, tell me single service is $150, what is that? Tiny piece of chocolate? Gotta eat you whole. 5 pounds might be 10 pounds would be a little bit too much though. Packaging also includes instructions on how to eat the oversized hopper, by smashing it or slicing it. You suggest consumers wrap it in a towel and give it one bold whack with a hammer, mallet, or rolling pin. For a more civilized way of eating the giant chocolate bunny, advise to warm up a serrated bread knife. Try it fully, then cut gently. Ears or feet first is up to you. Feet for free? If you have leftovers, the packaging suggests creating chocolate to make hot chocolate, using beans and cookies or brownies, or saving them for a sweet treat. Social media, Costco shoppers are sharing how the bunny had people stopping in their tracks. One noted. You're not prepared for the size of this bunny at Costco. Costco food blog wrote on Instagram. Honestly, looks like the ultimate Easter statement piece, and you could break pieces off for days. The video showed that the bunny at the usual Costco location was a whooping $134.99. People in the comment sections were both infatuated and confused with the giant edible bunny. And the destruction are hilarious. Wrap Pete in a towel and whack him with a hammer. User laughed. It's the first time he thought, what is Costco thinking? Someone said. Why would anyone buy this? I'm genuinely confused. A Reddit user asked. Reddit and then sending the holidays? Yeah, makes sense. Esme Centerpiece. These are cheaper than flowers, one shared. Wow, flowers really that expensive? I mean, if it's a big bouquet, I guess. I was very happy. Happy mad about the price tag. Not quite dancing mad, I guess. 140, Pete can stay at Costco one round. I went chocolate hard for Valentine's Day was $20. I thought that was expensive. $20 for 5 bands? That's actually kind of tame, though. $14 a pound for chocolates beyond crazy, coming through road. But a week's worth of groceries or a giant chocolate bunny, someone added. Yeah, I guess it's not for everybody, that's for sure. But hey, I expected it to be much more expensive. So I guess that's potentially okay. I think I need to blow my nose for a second to get a mute here for a little bit. Oh, that's way better. Yeah, damn, that feels great now. If this didn't sell, then I guess the economy isn't that bad. Some people who would buy this complain about the price of eggs. Yeah, business, thank you, Costco. And 1 milk chocolate, I guess that's understandable. I mean, I'm assuming this would be for a family celebration, right? You have a bunch of kids, especially kids, around. So you might need to bring out the $140 chocolate money. I would say the $140 is a lot of money, but it is kind of big though. So we can give them that. 151 servings. Sure. Sure thing. But I guess the rabbits went just back to the moon. So fast. Lift off. Yes, launches astronauts on historic Artemis moon mission. Finally going back to the moon, huh? Took you long enough. Spurred by American ingenuity, astronauts on NASA's Artemis 2 or second? I think it's 2, right? Mission in flight, preparing for the first crewed lunar flyby in more than 50 years. NASA's Space Launch System, rocket lifted off from Launch Pad 39B at the UC Kennedy Space Center in Florida at 6:33 p.m. EDT Wednesday, sending 4 astronauts aboard the Orion, I think it's correct, right? The spacecraft on a planned test flight around the moon and back. This launch marks a defining moment for our nation and for all who believe in exploration. Team Steve Wells and the vision said by President Donald J. Trump, returning humanity to the moon for the first time in more than 50 years and opening the next chapter of lunar exploration beyond Apollo. Both Orion are 4 remarkable explorers preparing for the first crewed flight of this rocket and the spacecraft, and through test mission that will carry them further and faster than any humans in a generation, said NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. Our team is still the start of something bigger than any one mission. It means our return to the moon, not just a visit, but to eventually stay on our moon base It's the foundation for the next giant leaps ahead, which I think makes sense, right? If you're gonna go further beyond, if you want to go to Mars, you're gonna need something on the moon, right? At the very least. A successful launch is the beginning of an approximately 10-day mission for NASA astronauts. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch or Koch, I'm not quite sure, and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. As the first crewed mission of NASA's Artemis program, among its objectives, the flight will demonstrate life support systems for the first time, with crew and lay the foundation for an enduring presence on the moon, ahead of future missions to Mars. After reaching space, Orion deployed its solar array wings, enabling the spacecraft to receive energy from the sun. But the crew and engineers on the ground immediately began transitioning the spacecraft from launch to flight operations to start checking out key systems. I mean, kinda makes sense to have backup solar stuff. That's probably for the best. Makes a lot of sense, right? Makes total sense, I would say. Artemis 2's death flight in the test has just begun. The team that built this vehicle prepared it for flight, has given our crew the machine they need to go to prove what it can do, said NASA Associate Administrator Amit Kshatriya. Sounds American to me. Over the next 10 days, Red, Victor, Christine, and Jeremy will put Orion through its phases so the crews who follow them can go to the moon's surface with confidence. We are one mission into a long campaign, and the work ahead of us is greater than the work behind us. About 40 minutes into the death flight, the SLS rocket's upper stage fired to put Orion into an elliptical orbit around Earth. Second planned orbit stage will propel Orion, the crew named Integrity, into high Earth orbit extending about 46,000 miles within Earth. After the burn, Orion will separate from the stage, flying free on its own. In several hours, a ring on the rocket's upper stage will be a safe distance away from the spacecraft, while deploying 4 CubeSats, small satellites from Argentina's Commission Nacional de Actividades Especiales, German Space Center, Korea Aerospace Administration, and Saudi Space Agency to perform scientific investigations and technology demonstrations. The spacecraft will remain in high Earth orbit for about a day, where the crew will conduct a manual pilot demonstration to test Orion's handling capabilities. The astronauts, with Mission Control Center teams at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, will continue checking spacecraft systems. If all systems remain healthy, Mission Controls will give Orion's European-built service model command to conduct the translunar injection burn on Thursday, April 2nd, which was 2 days ago. I'm assuming everything is going fine. This move is an approximately 6-minute fire end, as in the spacecraft on its trajectory, it will simultaneously carry crew around the moon, also harnessing lunar gravity to slingshot them back to Earth. During planned multi-hour lunar flyby on Monday, April 6th, the astronauts will take photographs and provide demonstrations of the moon's surface, as first people to lay eyes on some areas of the far side. The lunar's far side will only be partially illuminated during the flyby. The conditions should create shadows that stretch across the surface, enhance relief, air relevant depth, ridges, slopes, and crater rims that are often difficult to detect under full illumination. So I guess they're not gonna put themselves onto the moon. What a shame. I guess the moon is not actually real after all. Observations and other human health scientific investigations during the mission, such as Outdoor, will inform science during future moon missions. Following a successful lunar flyby, the astronauts will return to Earth and splash down in the Pacific Ocean. As part of the golden age of innovation and exploration, NASA will send Artemis astronauts on increasingly difficult missions to explore more of the moon for scientific discovery, economic benefits, and to build on our own foundation for the first crewed mission to Mars. Follow the latest mission progress, including more images from this slide here. Which is kinda funny. Of course, it's the American moon, because it's ours, right? We laid ourselves there first. Yeah, but I would say this is actually a joint mission with a bunch of different countries. But you're on a mission right here, right? You mentioned, where was it? Argentina, Germany, Korea, and Saudi Arabia. So it's not just the US, is it? It's not just the US. You funny people. Uh, Kinda wish humanity could come together, but I would say that humanity hasn't been as divided in a long time. Sucks to suck. And there's no matching everything about it. Honestly. Differences are way too big. But I do appreciate the space exploration. I think it's pretty cool. It should be a benefit to everybody. I keep saying it's not a cope, it might be a cope. But be careful, because things with the moon could be a little bit more strange than you think. Maybe not with just the moon. However, just from April 1st, I don't think this is in April Fool's, not this initial video. Is that Benny Johnson? Former Florida congressman claims US government is actively breeding aliens with humans. Speaking of Shinzo Abe, I suppose. Are they full AVs? We wouldn't know. It's Black Mirror and The Simpsons have an uncanny habit of showing us TV shows can sometimes bizarrely seem to predict the future. Well, it's just a case of life imitating art. That claims from former Florida congressman Matt Gaetz. Definitely sound like they've been pulled from an episode of The X-Files. Hey, if Ryan Coogler needs some inspiration for his upcoming reboot, get Gaetz on the phone. And speaking of the reboot, it's gonna be horrible. I've seen some images. And there with conspiracy theories about Flat Earth, 9/11, and John F. Kennedy. The Earth is not real. 9/11 was an inside job, and John F. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Our session with popping on a tinfoil hat and speculating about aliens continues. Well, time for SpaceX's Artemis II launch. That will take humans to the moon for the first time since 1972. Guests said tongues wagging about the supposed human-alien hybrid breeding program. Coming shortly after former President Barack Obama seemed to suggest he believed in aliens, and President Donald Trump vowed to release all the US government's files on alien life. This has thrown fuel on the fire that the general public isn't privy to all things ET. Extraterrestrial. I hate to say this, but this is somewhat similar to something Alex Jones said already. Again, I don't think he meant human-alien hybrids. I think he meant human-animal chimeras, which was actually happening in China. But I think it's close enough. Hey, where are the multi-dimensional goblins? Still waiting for them. Testing something sinister is going on in the bowels of Area 51. Gates told Benny Johnson that there's a secret breeding program with the intent of communicating with life forms from other worlds. Referring to a whistleblower who was a senior enlisted man with the US Army, Gates claimed, "And someone come and brief me who is in a military uniform, or for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs, where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. Surely they're not gonna enslave us. Seems like a bad idea. What can you say?" As Jason pushed Gates on the workings of biologics and interracial alien mating, it became clear this was just the start of the story. I mean, doesn't that kind of mean that the aliens are somewhat close to humans? Maybe not, right? If they also have animal chimeras, I guess just DNA splicing. That would make sense. Surely that's not gonna be a problem, if real. He has maintained that a uniformed member of the army came into his office in an unclassified setting with members of his own staff apparently witnessing the interaction. He continued, "The military ran very secret programs where aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones, and even the caravans of migrants." Okay, hold up. When you say aliens, you mean actual aliens from outer space? Or illegal aliens from different countries? See, that's kind of the problem with English. And all sensationalist stuff, Gates noted that he didn't verify this himself. There was supposedly between 6 and 12 locations from the USA where this hybrid breeding program was taking place. But the whistleblower wanted members of Congress to descend on the various locales all at once and catch the breeding in progress. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but at the same time, when you tell me it just in RAI in a non-classified setting with members of his young staff apparently wins the distraction. It seems like it's kids or ramblings, or maybe joke. I don't know if they would joke in such a in context, but I don't know if that would be real, right? Sounds way too strange for me. Many there are questions about why Gates didn't reveal the supporting cover-up through his timing obvious, and the legitimacy of the story because he didn't verify it to himself. Fair points. As information from a United States Air Force officer and intelligence official David Grush, who previously claimed that the government had obtained non-human biological matter from alien crafts, but again, they hadn't seen physical evidence. According to the clip of Gates, the person said, anyone with a decent understanding of biology will know that what he's saying is nonsense, but Gates is either a credulous idiot, or more likely, he's going down the conspiracy podcaster route. Nah, I don't know about that. See, I know they say hybrid breeding, but at the same time, if they're using DNA splicing to create hybrids and try to breed with the hybrids, I think that's actually possible. Me not knowing enough about biology, maybe. Going on by other schizo rumblings to some extent. I don't think it's impossible, right? We've seen some gene splicing stuff too with the woolly mice for the woolly mammoth project, and the dire wolves, which they're not returning back from the dead really, it's just gene splicing. Another legend, the Republicans are scrambling, literally saying just about anything to take away the attention from the Epstein files and their own war. It's truly laughable. And funny how you say that, because Obama was talking about aliens first, though. As I joked, I think half the people running the government and running the state governments are probably hybrids. I think attack normal and probably half the time. I mean, what about the little man? It's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just saying it's possible. But this has been kind of strange. I'm assuming this clip is just gonna be no more new information. I mean, this is from April 1st. This was from March 31st. I don't think this guy was trying to make an April Fool's joke here. I was like, kind of wonder what he means by intergalactic communication. Do they have special organs to communicate, or what's going on with that? You want to invest in technology rather than hybrids? It's a bit strange. It is a bit strange. I don't really know what I mean by this. Holy shit, I'm dying today. Crowd are doing so great. Thankfully I have my water, but still. We need to get more, I'm pretty sure. Okay, now that we're a little bit tame, how about we get spicy? Slowly but surely. So speaking of alien breeding, it's a different kind of alien, but still. This tweet went pretty much viral. 6.9 million views, 2.9 thousand likes. It's kinda rough. I mean, you didn't need any study to know this, but it's funny to see. Many refugees from Afghanistan and Syria and Germany show a keen interest in forming relationships with local women, but the local women show little interest in forming relationships with them. God damn, I wonder why. Such a mystery. But some of the data they give here, trying to be like, oh, these poor refugees, I'm like, but when I said this back in the day, I was considered an insane racist, but you're just saying this. Because now you're saying this, because it's good. Now it's not. Germany, in particular, received over 1.4 million refugees between 2014 and 2016. Not in total. In 2 years, 1.4 million. What about the last 10 years? You don't want to know. You don't want to know. Predominantly from Muslim majority countries such as Syria and Afghanistan. Of course. The majority of these arrivals consist of young single men within prime marriageable age brackets. Wait a minute! I thought this wasn't happening. People told me this was false. People told me this was fake. Of course it wasn't fake, because I have eyes. And I know the kind of people that have been coming to the West for more than 10 years. Oh, they're not kids. They are not women. They are people that shouldn't be refugees. I'm sorry to tell you this. But if somebody has to be fighting for the country, it should be this young single man within primary age brackets. The study examines partnership preferences of male refugees from Afghanistan and Syria who arrived in Germany between 2014 and 2016, and female residents of similar age. Overall, our results indicate a high level of openness among male refugees towards partnering with female members of the resident population, but a comparatively low level of openness among the latter towards partnering with recently arrived male refugees. This implies a substantial incongruence in partnership preferences among the two groups. You're framing that as something bad, but not something natural. There are many issues here. First of all, language barrier. Second, massive cultural differences. Third, hypergamy. Women want to marry up. Kinda difficult nowadays, but they still want to marry up. If you're going with a refugee, you're not marrying up. It's a refugee who's marrying up. Therefore, you're marrying down. Sometimes below hell. Which goes against the female break. Why do you have this weird obsession of insane refugees from the Middle East getting together with white German women? I'm curious. But then they will call me names. They will call me names. Regarding the educational level of a potential partner, we found that all respondents prefer highly educated partners over those with lower levels of education. Would you rather be with somebody that can hold a conversation, or a drooling buffoon? The answer might surprise you. They suggest that, for refugees, securing a highly educated partner might serve as a means of upward social mobility and integration into higher status networks in the host society. They are just saying it. You know what this is? This is not a refugee. This is a parasite. By your own admission. This is, for refugees, securing a highly educated partner might serve as a means of upward social mobility and integration into higher status networks in the host society. Even called the host society. This could be just a virus. Furthermore, it is possible that highly educated women, due to their greater exposure to diverse social environments and potentially less discriminatory attitudes, are perceived as more open to intergroup partnerships, making them a more attractive choice for refugees seeking acceptance and social integration. I'm gonna be real, guy, it's not a diff. They are just hotter, they are just better looking, and they have the money. If these strange immigrants from the Middle East actually manage to get together with these women, they have solved their lives. That's why they want to do it. But for these women, it probably means they're gonna get killed. I'm not even joking, you're probably gonna get killed. Even if you say no, you're probably gonna get killed. And raped. Mainly raped, but also killed. Also, being critically exposed to diverse social environments and potentially less discriminatory attitudes probably doesn't mean they will be open to intergroup partnerships. If anything, they will be less open. At least if they are as smart as they think they are. On the other hand, the reluctance of resident women to accept partnerships with refugees is largely explained by the rejection of the imported religious Islam. It is possible that resident women perceive, by the way, the religious practices of newly arrived refugees as different from their own, reinforcing a social distance that limits intergroup partnerships. Moreover, this reluctance might not only reflect religious differences, but also concerns about gender norms or perceived lifestyle incompatibilities. They're not concerns. They're not perceptions. It's having eyes and understanding what these people that you're bringing in are bringing with them. Not a compatible culture. Oh, but Islam, it's so feminist. You will cover yourself and you will shut the fuck up because the men told you so. So feminist. And if you dare get raped, you're getting killed. Like in Spain. Hey, are we sure? This is before 1492? What a shame. What a fucking shame. You don't need a study to know this. It's pretty obvious. Nobody likes the immigrants. But people have to get out. Because if you don't, you might end up in jail. Yeah, the link here. Why do elf women not want to marry orcs? Even though orcs want to marry elf women. Actually build a career on this? 30,000 likes! That makes sense. Okay, hold up. I need to be careful with this individual. It gets... I know it's an individual that gets too spicy. Let's see. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. We're going wild with this one. Rapid brown men from backwards countries who spend all day watching porn with white women in it really want to fuck white women. But the white women don't seem to want to fuck them back. Can't again shit here. Out of curiosity, how many times did you strangle your hog while thinking about how you could fix this problem? It's just strange. It's strange fetish at the end of the day. Which I do not partake in, of course. The majority of these survivors consist of young single men. Funnily enough, I've been called a right-wing conspiracy theorist for noticing this. Say what I mean? Say what I mean. We went from this is not happening to this is happening, but it's actually good. They had to go back. Or even better, they had to go down. Why did so-called refugees abandon the women, mothers, sisters, daughters, and female friends to face the dangers they themselves fled from? That's a good question. Oh, sorry here. We're here to rape the white women. Pretty much. Studies like this are very, very funny because fundamentally it's an academic demanding German women have sex with refugees, even though they don't want to. This choice is deemed as unacceptable despite sex literally always being a personal matter. Are you sure about that? Not anymore. Is this satire from a congressman? That's crazy. Absolute fucking insanity, dude. One thing that I find quite hilarious about this refugee bullshit in general is that they will tell you, but you see, these Western countries, they are so racist. They're so racist, we're so oppressed. Yes. You're gonna be oppressed. Do not come. It's the only possible answer I can give them right now. Oh, but they're shut the fuck up. Shut up! Don't let them come back. Sadly, this is not the only problem in Germany. Germany completely cocked. Germany introduced new travel restrictions for men aged 17 to 45 amid military reforms. Hey, don't you like to live in a free country? Well, this is not one of them. Germany has introduced new regulations requiring men aged 17 to 45 to obtain official permission before leaving the country for extended periods. Effective as of January 1st, 2026, this rule applies to individuals planning to stay abroad for more than 3 months, whether for education, employment, or long-term travel, according to Berliner Zeitung on April 3rd. This affected must secure authorization from a Bundeswehr career center before their departure. This requirement is now a permanent fixture of German law enacted through the Military Service Modernization Act. The measure was implemented with little public attention. If you thought you weren't going to die against Russia, boy, you were wrong. Fully while you can. Previously, such permits were only mandatory during times of heightened external threats or a state of defense, such as a direct attack on federal territory. Under the new reforms, the rule applies during peacetime and normal conditions. Because it's not actual peacetime, is it? They call it peacetime, but it's not. The spokesperson for the German Federal Ministry of Defense confirmed the introduction of the new travel authorization requirement. In a statement to journalists, the spokesperson explained that the basis and leading idea of this rule is a reliable and credible accounting of those liable for military service in case of need. Somebody is feeling the Russians, I'm afraid. Major Poison, are you dying for Ukraine or are you dying for Israel? It doesn't matter, you're just dying. If you stay home, it's gonna be an Afghan. Congrats. Travel permit system is part of a larger effort by the federal government to expand the strength of the Bundeswehr. Germany aims to increase its troop numbers from the current level of approximately 184,000 to between 255,000 and 270,000 soldiers by 2035. How are you gonna do that, pal? Yeah, tell me, how are you gonna do that? I'm so curious. You had incentivized your German population from having kids for decades at this point, and you keep importing these strange refugees. They're not really refugees, but still. Do you think these refugees are gonna fight in the military for you? No. They're gonna be the first rats to leave the ship. What a bunch of fucking idiots. You're killing yourself if you don't realize that. But of course, what we say, it's a bunch of white guys. They don't want to kill you, okay? Darlings. Oh my goodness. How could you say something like that? As part of this initiative, all young men born in 2008 or later must complete a questionnaire regarding their willingness to serve. While the service is mandatory for men, it remains voluntary for women. So much for equality. I thought you were all for democracy. What is this? Ibaraki Court, director of the Internal Security Institute at the Estonian Academy of Security Sciences, argued that Germany was a more logical and accessible target for Russia within NATO than the Baltic states. I mean, yes, I don't think it's gonna happen, but yes. Unless you actually get into the point. It's just that because Germany serves as the logistical and strategic heart of Europe. Logistical? Holy shit, we're lost. We're lost. Time to start learning Russian, Dorish. Anyone aiming to weaken the alliance had to strike its center first. This highlighted several factors that made the country vulnerable, including its role as a strategic hub and the presence of a large Russian-speaking population. Look, if Russia wants to conquer Europe, we'd be rushing already, okay? Do not kill yourself. Ultimately, concluded that neutralizing Germany would have yielded a significant propaganda value for the Kremlin, but finally paralyzing NATO's eastern flank. I mean, does Germany even have a military? Barely, I'm assuming. I think that's kind of a German cope. I'm not against serving in the military or having a strong army. I think it's useful, I think it's valuable, and I don't think countries, especially in Europe, should invest in that. But that's not it. That's not it. They're using this as a way of killing you so they can keep importing people from the Middle East. If you were still doubting that. Absolutely hilarious. Absolutely fucking hilarious. And as things are nowadays, where was it? Right here. Question regarding the willingness to serve. Nobody wants to serve anymore. The countries, the governments, they hate you. They want you dead. They want you fat. They want you poor. And if they could, they would just use your pieces for their dark rituals. They want you raped. They want you killed. If you complained, they want you jailed. This might seem like something insane. It's not insane. It's literally happening right now. In the UK, in Germany, in France, in different countries in Europe. It's happening. Are you really gonna die for a population that hates you? For a government that hates you with a burning passion? Once you killed, raped, completely out of the scene. Are you gonna die for those? No. They're gonna tell them to fuck themselves and to go for them to go first if they're so interested in this conflict. Of course, you still want to protect yourself and you want to protect your people, but the circle has been shrinking for the past decade and a half, maybe even more than that. So it's not surprising people do not hold any appreciation for the countries. Speaking of countries that want you dead, what about Canada? I haven't gone through this, but I think it's a little bit suspicious. Control doctors are under orders to lie on your death certificate. Not shade the truth. Lie. Here is, official, in writing from the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario. The illness, disease, or disability leading to the request for MAID is to be recorded as the cause of death. The certificate cannot include any reference to MAID or the medications administered. Well. Isn't that curious? That guy died, probably COVID. And it's right here. Comparing medical certificate of death for a person to whom MAID has been administered. The illness, disease, or disability leading to the request for MAID is to be recorded as the cause of death. The certificate cannot include any reference to MAID or the medications administered. Why the fuck not? That's a good question. Let me translate that for you. The state kills you. The doctor writes down that your disease killed you. The lethal injection disappears from the official record. The government's role in your death is erased permanently. 76,475 Canadians have died by MAID since 2016. It's more than 100,000 at this point, I think. Maybe they were not all Canadians. Maybe that's the difference. Not one death certificate records would actually kill them. Not one. Oh boy, we're going back in time. Holy! I'm tired, Mr. Hitler. I want to take you back to 1939. Nazi Germany had a program, vtuber. It targeted people deemed too costly to keep alive. The disabled, the mentally ill, the blind, the deaf. People whose care costs more than their labor produced. And they will tell you, they were not socialists, come on. They call them Nutzlos Esser. Is this a Nuzlocke challenge? Useless eaters. They call their lives Levensumworthers Leven. Life unworthy of life. When families wrote to institutions asking what happened to their loved ones, they got letters back. Careful letters. Sympathetic letters. The case of death was always a disease. Pneumonia, heart failure, septicemia. Never the gas chamber, never the injection, never the state. The certificates were falsified by doctors on government instruction. Now read that CPSO Canadian document again. That's the... to give the proper name. Okay, I did. The organism or organization that controls MAID. The Nuremberg Tribunal didn't buy the argument that it was merciful. The patients had consented that the paperwork was in order. They called it what it was, and they had doctors for it. I'm saying Canada, it's not in Germany. I'm saying the paperwork practice is identical. The physical logic is identical. The target population is identical. At what point do we start asking harder questions? I'm saying Canada is not in Germany? Well, maybe you don't, but maybe I will. They're more closely related to Maoist China, but still. What's the difference in practice, really? Meet Sophia, 51 years old, Toronto, February 2022. She had chemical sensitivities. Cigarette smoke and clean products made her desperately ill. She spent 2 years begging every level of government to help her find a clean apartment. A clean apartment, okay? Proof her own doctors wrote to Ottawa, calling the situation unconscionable. One of them said she just needed a safe place to live. The apartment was never found. MAID was approved. She was dead by February 22nd. And that certificate records her illness. It doesn't record that the government killed her rather than find her housing. I need to ask because I'm not sure. I don't know, and I don't even know if I actually want to know. You have to opt in for MAID, right? The government cannot just come in and kill you, I'm assuming. that should be the case. I mean, if they don't, we're living in a quite an insane death cult, which not a big fan of. I don't be religious, but I do think that life holds value on its own. I think you need to be religious for that. It's Alan Nichols, 61 years old, British Columbia, 2019. His family called a wellness check because they feared he was suicidal. Police brought him to the hospital. He tested his brother, asked him to be busted out. 1 month later, he was dead. His mid-application listed one condition as the reason for his death: hearing loss. Police brought his application and administered the lethal injection herself. His family filed a police report. The RCMP closed the file without taking a statement from any family member. The certificate says nothing about any of this. It's gonna give us a bunch of examples, I suppose. Christine Gauthier competed for Canada in the 2016 Paralympics in Rio, paraplegic, decorated veteran. She testified before Parliament that a Veterans Affair, a caseworker, offered her maid in writing. She had asked for a wheelchair ramp for her home. Not an insane ask, especially when we're talking about a Paralympian and a veteran. I've learned saying that if you're so desperate, madam, we can offer you a maid. I was like, I can't believe you will give me an injection to help me die, but you will not give me the tools I need to help me live. Are you sad? Kill yourself. Never kill yourself. Once again, they just want you killed, they just want you raped, they just want you out, completely out, they want you to disappear. Speaking of Edmonton, Jim Maloney died by maid. Blind, diabetic, thyroid issues. 65 years old, now terminal. His death certificate will cause his blindness. Now the injection. Here's something the government published and nobody talked about. Canadian Parliamentary Budget Officer officially calculated that maid saves the federal and provincial governments over $149 million USD per year. Kinda wonder how much money they could be using for this, because they're actual. This is your actual population, and what actually making the country is something that kinda works. Not so sure anymore, but kinda works, I think is correct. They run the numbers, they publish the report, they know exactly what each death saves. Meanwhile, disability support in New Brunswick pays $705 a month. Canadian sends $15.9 billion with a B, and brought annually. Emergency departments are closed for lack of staff. Palliative care is unavailable to 70% of Canadians who need it. Getting approved for maid is faster than getting a specialist appointment. Ask yourself who the system was designed to serve. Do you really think this is not by design? Of course it is. 149 million per year. What about you stop wasting tens or even hundreds of billions each year in fucking bullshit that's not helping you? I say this about Canada, but I say this about literally every single country from the West. I mean, yeah, taking care of people is expensive, but you have the money to do that. Wow. 149, yep. So good. So good. People can say this Canadians choose death really. That cousin makes it different. Sophia signed the form. She also spent 2 years begging for a clean apartment. Alan Nichols signed the form. He suggested his brother began to be busted out of hospital. The veteran signed the form, as his own government suggested it when he called asking for help with PTSD. When our government withholds everything that makes life livable, and then offers death as the real alternative, the form at the end does not consent. It's kind of blackmail, I can agree to that. It's the last documenting a process that began the moment the state decided your life cost more than they wanted to pay. Had a word for that in 1946. Murder. Murder! That was the word. That is the word the Nuremberg tribunal used when they stripped away the consent forms, the medical language, the falsified certificates, and the compassionate framing. Murder. Ontario doctors are ordered by their own regulatory college to ensure that word never appears on any official record. The certificate says the deceased killed them. History will not be so careful. Share this thread, ask your MP and MLA, but death certificates are required to be false. That's why we approve lethal injections faster than we find housing. As to benefits when the most expensive Canadians stop needing care. That's why we built the same machine they built in 1939. Give it the French acronym and call it compassion. We'll learn nothing. Many such cases. Once again, I need to remind people, we live in an insane society. There's nothing more than a death cult. You will die. You will let yourself get killed. By immigrants, by the government, by war, by inaction. But you cannot enact any violence. It's just death. It's just death. You will not have kids. And if you get pregnant, maybe, consider abortion. But if they attack you, especially if they're from outside, you cannot defend yourself. Doing so would be bad. Well, if death is that good, why is it so wrong to give such a gift to these people from outside that we're housing? Of course, I'm not telling people to kill immigrants. That's insane. But I do wish for people to protect themselves. Even if law finds it insane, something you cannot do, something that's not allowed. What, you dare protect yourself when somebody's coming at you with a knife? I don't care. I'd rather be in jail than dead. I'd rather not be in jail. But that is a little bit too definitive for me. It is insane. You only get one life. I do believe that the concept of life has been completely destroyed in modern times. I don't know if it's... I don't want to say it's video games, but I do think that people have been... They're not sensible to the concept of death anymore. Oh, somebody died, well, who cares? What the fuck do you mean, who cares? People ruin deaths and whatnot. Pisses me off to no end. Which I guess brings me to the last article for today. Because I'm seeing a lot of misrepresentation of what this article is actually saying. But I think it's really important. What is this? We can leave that for next week. It's fine. Has nothing to do with this stuff. And we're reaching the usual time. I might add that at the end, but this is kinda long article. Bolt used to kill Charlie Kirk, the match rifle, and allegedly used by suspect Tyler Robinson. You can file in claims. A lot of people are running with just the title. It's not what the article says. It did not match the rifle because the testing they use is absolute ass and it doesn't work. Let's get through this. I will try to read literally everything. As you can see, it's kinda long. I think they go through most of the case, but it's fine. Thankfully this video doesn't show the actual shooting. Not because of TOS, but because I don't want to see it again. The bullet that killed conservative commentator Charlie Kirk may not match the rifle. May. First line. Doubts of May. Excuse you, it's still April. Get off. May not match the rifle used by suspected killer Taylor Robinson. Eventual new court filing states. Robinson, 22, is facing capital murder charges and a potential death sentence for Kirk's murder in Utah Valley University on September 10th. But his defense attorneys argued that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives TTF. ATF, but you don't have the E, that's strange. Was unable to identify the bullet recovered at autopsy to the rifle allegedly tied to Mr. Robinson. Allegedly tied. I mean, there are attorneys and they have to do that, right? But it sounds so slimy. The defense team may now offer the ATF firearm analysts testimony as exculpatory evidence. They are setting a motion filed on Friday to push the preliminary hearing back at least 6 months, Fox News reports. Also notes that DNA reports filed by the FBI and ATF will take time for the defense team to analyze because reports indicated that several different DNA samples were found on some items of evidence. Maybe because they were not handled properly, and maybe because some people handled that before the actual shooting. As this case indicates, determining the number of contributors to DNA mixture and determining whether the FBI and the ATF reliably applied validated and correct scientific procedures is a complicated process, which requires the assistance of various types of experts, including forensic biologists, geneticists, system engineers, and statisticians. All of whom must review and evaluate several different categories, the filing states, according to Desert News. Representative attorney said that they have received about 20,000 electronic audio files, videos, and written documents. The prosecutors have presented as evidence in the case. There's a massive amount of evidence for this guy going absolutely insane. The defense team has devoted and will continue to devote significant resources to the process and discovery, including identifying materials that you received to inform readiness for the preliminary hearing, the filing states. However, the defense team is realistic, and the comprehensive review required to determine what is missing will take hundreds of hours. I think that's fine, but I don't want people to forget all of the facts that we actually know. What is now present as Mr. Robinson has not yet received the forensic case files and data necessary to investigate through the use of qualified experts, the scientific reports the estate intends to introduce, and the preliminary hearing. The attorneys continue. Gotta be real, at some point this shouldn't be necessary. Because there are texts from this guy saying he did it. That should be more than enough proof. But I understand the forensic investigation. If the attorneys and prosecutors had previously met on March 12th. Based on that meeting, the defense said in the motion, it believes prosecutors will introduce 3 buckets of evidence through 3 identified law enforcement witnesses at the preliminary hearing. This includes a conclusive forensic DNA and ballistic reports authored by the FBI and the ATF, social media data, testimony by law enforcement officers about the crime scene and search locations, and testimony by Mr. Robinson's parents and roommates, as well as a significant amount of hearsay from non-testifying peace officers. Significant amount of hearsay, like you don't have no proof already. Prosecutors have alleged that Robinson traveled 3 hours from his home to the university campus to kill Kirk, 31. He was turned over to authorities by his father, Matt, after he recognized his own dad's rifle in the images released by police amid a manhunt for Kirk's assassin. So it was the grandparent. Yeah, okay, that's correct. Some of the details are a little bit hazy for me. Not something that I follow all the time, as you might expect. Tal's grandfather had given him the rifle as a gift before he used it to kill Kirk. Authorities have said. I mean, the wording is not the greatest. I'm assuming it was for hunting, but he used it to kill a man. After then recognizing the unique gun, Matt texted his son, asking him for a picture of the family heirloom. The suspect could not provide, according to police. He intended change between Tyler Robinson, his roommate and partner, Lance Twiggs, a transformer individual. Mind you, the alleged killer claimed the rifle was the only evidence he left behind. Court documents show. Well, isn't that strange? If I'm able to grab my rifle and sing, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on, he allegedly wrote. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Robinson also reportedly wrote about planning to get the weapon from his drop point, but that the area was locked down. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle, he continued. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I don't even know if it had a serial number. I think they usually do. But it wasn't traced to me. I worry about friends, I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. He had the ability to return to bring it with. Don't you think this is more than enough incrimination? To make sure that this guy actually did it? The alleged killer then expressed concern that his father would ask to see the gun. I may have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the fuck will I explain losing it to my old man? One thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel, he wrote. Robinson signed off the fateful text exchange by warning his partner, Lance Twiggs, to delete their messages, and said that his father was trying to call him about his grandfather's rifle. He ultimately allegedly... to... all our words, that's weird. Yeah, stop. He confessed to committing the murder to his father, who then contacted authorities and secured his son before he could be taken into custody. Robinson's arrest shocked his friends, who told the Washington Post that even though the accused murderer would joke about Republican politicians catching a bullet during joint tirades, this saw no indication he was violent. Well, I don't know, those messages seem more than enough to me. See, he was such a good guy. Oh, how is that possible? Usually those people are the most dangerous. Those in his inner circle have identified him as having been radicalized by left-wing extremists, but claim he provided no indication that he would kill Kirk. You wouldn't say it beforehand, if you're not a fucking mongoloid. But then again, you never know with these people. He loved his guns, he loved his beer, he hated the government. That's the impression that he got. A friend who regularly played card games with Robinson and his housemates told the Post. The friend claimed that Robinson openly opposed Democrat and Republican politicians, and that he was registered to vote, was not affiliated with any party. Robinson is now due back in court on April 17th when his defense attorneys and prosecutors will debate the issue of allowing cameras and microphones in the courtroom. They should. If they don't, that's gonna be a massive shit show, for sure. His attorneys have previously noted that pre-trial publicity reached as far as the White House, with President Donald Trump saying shortly after Robinson's arrest that he hopes he gets the death penalty. If he did it, and from what we know, it's 95% sure he did it, he should get the death penalty. I don't care. I'm sick of these animals killing people that are completely innocent. There are now expected to show evidence at the hearing that the bill contains harmful and prejudicial media coverage of this case thus far. But the game's widow, Erica Kirk, has called for full transparency coverage of the trial, saying, "We deserve to have cameras in there," and she is absolutely correct. With such a case, we need to know. She also publicly forgave Robinson for allegedly killing her husband. I don't think she should have, but Christians, am I right? The headline is fake news. The cover could not be matched because it was fragmented. There's a difference of saying it doesn't match, which is correct, and that's a big problem. Too conspiratorial. Get the fuck out of here. And of course, we have idiots from the left and idiots from the right claim this is some sort of, for lack of a better term, smoking gang evidence that, of course, it was not the Robinson guy. It was somebody else. It was Israel. It's just a conspiracy. You're a bunch of fucking idiots. You're just a fucking idiots. They don't know anything of what you're talking about. I'm sick of this. I'm just truly sick of this. I'm sick of these people. I'm sick of the lies. I'm sick of fucking retards, because they're just retarded. Both on the left and the right. I don't care anymore. I'm not in a crusade against the communists. I'm just in a crusade against fucking idiots. They get fucking everything over. And I'm so sick of this. We can have the data, we can have the facts, we have proper conversations about this and that. But no, we have the most stupid people on the internet being radicalized by fucking liars that are not smarter than them. And I need to believe these people are valid and they matter. Fuck off. Fuck off. I'm sick of all of you. God damn it. I guess we have one more. I don't want this one to be the last. Still not good. Outrageous circle makes thousands of foreign worker requests amid layoff bloodbath. They're gonna fire Americans and they're gonna hire Indians. It's never good. They will tell you, it's not happening. Something like that will never happen. It doesn't make any sense. Well, your result is showing. Lots of local employees awoke on Thursday to an email informing them they were being laid off. The workers likely didn't know the tech company had been busy trying to hire foreign staff. Going to U.S. citizenship and immigrant services data, Oracle filed for roughly 3,126 petitions to employ H-1B workers in fiscal years 2025 and 2026. Employers must submit the paperwork when seeking to hire foreign workers in specialty occupations like technology. Some 436 of these petitions were filed this year alone. Amazon, which in January said it would axe 16,000 corporate employees, has filed for some 2,675 HOP petitions in the same 2-year fiscal period. That came on top of news in October that the retail giant was axing 14,000 corporate workers. H1Bs should never work like this, and they should be heavily penalized for doing something like this. So, you have workers in the country you're based on, but you're gonna kick them out to get cheap workers from abroad. That's not how H1Bs should work. H1Bs should be a last resort, but it's not being used like that because it's really useful to bring in millions of workers from abroad because they will accept trash jobs, trash salaries, and trash conditions, which brings the whole job market down for the country. So everybody gets fucked. That's never good. News of Oracle's attempts to bring in foreign workers has sparked outrage among some on social media. One user on the app Blind, an anonymous forum for verified employees, called the H1B petitions a slap in our face. Well, it literally is. If this doesn't make you angry, maybe you need to read some heartfelt posts on LinkedIn from Oracle employees who are US citizens and have been laid off after working at Oracle for years, just wrote. Another commenter posted on the site. Look at all big tech companies. With the massive layoffs, they rehire at lower salary. Oh wow, do you think this is all about money? It always is. A third added, transnational corporations are disloyal to the American state and the nation. Neither Oracle nor Amazon replied to requests for comments. They never will, come on. Companies submit H1B petitions seeking permissions from the US government to hire foreign workers because they can't find local candidates with comparable skills. Fucking massive lie. Actually, the people from abroad are usually even worse. We know because these tech companies have been just diving down in Summer Trench and they're never coming back. But they were actually pretty decent. Not gonna say good, but pretty decent at least. As I have said, the program is essential in the race to develop cutting-edge technology, while critics say the program places American workers at a disadvantage. Also the companies. Sure, you will spend less in workers, but you also get worse workers. That's in the eye is gonna save you. Companies may also need to submit petitions to renew or extend current H1B visas. Backlash this week came after the company chaired by billionaire Larry Ellison informed thousands of workers across the world that Thursday will be their last day. After careful consideration of Oracle's current business needs, they have made the decision to eliminate your role as part of a broader organizational change. Copies of the email revealed by Business Insider stated. The terminated employees were told they would be eligible to receive their severance package, take to the terms and conditions of the severance plan. I mean, doing otherwise would be probably illegal. You don't want to get yourself into bigger problems, would you? I guess you never know. H1B visas were the subject of an uproar in September after President Donald Trump saying a proclamation that imposed the 100,000 USD per year fee on some H1B visa holders. The program is heavily used in Silicon Valley, and the sudden news and companies that rely on the workers is scrambling. You gotta tell me they have enough tech workers in the US? Are you fucking kidding me? I've seen so many engineers unable to get a proper job because these insane lunatics keep hiring infinite Indians. What the hell are you talking about? If they didn't lie, they couldn't say anything. Oracle's mass layoffs come as US tech employment hit its worst start to the year since 2023, with AI blamed for tens of thousands of brutal job cuts. Actually, Indians. The first 3 months of 2026 saw 52,050 tech layoffs, a 40% jump from the same period last year. Executive coaching firm Challenger claimed Christmas in a report published Thursday. Artificial intelligence increasingly being blamed for the cuts. I think that's a joke? Cope. Not saying that it's not a factor, but it cannot be such a huge factor, because AI is not that good yet. As the market was planning sweeping layoffs with 20% of its workforce, or about 15,000 employees, on the chopping block according to Reuters. Before Meta and other companies are giga-inflated too, so that kinda makes sense. Companies that lay off Americans should be forbidden from hiring H1B visas. Oh wait, they are! The law is simply not enforced! God damn! Isn't that lucky for them? The H1B program is to be annihilated. Enough already, Trump, get rid of it. There's so many Americans underemployed and unemployed, and you're giving our jobs away to foreigners. It's disgusting. they're kind of limiting the immigrants they get. But you know what? China's still fine. India's still fine. So nothing really happened. As we can see, the governments are quite against the H1Bs because it's an insane bleeding. Both in quality for these companies, money for the citizens, so on and so forth. It's just an insane situation that doesn't really help anybody. I don't even think it's actually helping the actual companies. It might seem like it is, but it's not. They're actually getting themselves in dire straits. They're trusting that AI will cure them. But AI, for coding, is really bad, because it doesn't really have enough scalability. Which is something you really want to have in programming jobs. We're started okay, but goddammit, we ended up blazing here. Not a good kind either. Some of these articles just piss me off to no end. It is insane, the shit they have to keep saying every single time. And if people really think that the AI is gonna be a net positive, they are crazy. Not because the poor workers, not about that. People will soon understand that only skilled people should have access to their skills. When you have people that are not skilled enough, or are not virtuous enough, whatever that means, doing big projects, which are really accessible nowadays with AI, you're gonna see trash. We're gonna see levels of trash never seen before. Just wait for it. Anyway, I think it's time for me to get the fuck out of here before I break TOS finally. And I'm free of my mortal coil. Plan for next week. We'll keep Dragon Quest 6 on Monday. Pretty good. We're gonna start Digimon World DS. It's World, that's actually Digimon story. On Wednesday, which is nice. And on Thursday, we're gonna see some pretty insane Chinese NES bootlegs. It's gonna be our contribution to the CCP, maybe. I need to finish my list. I think I want to add another one, because the third game I added might not be long enough, or might be too jank to actually play it for long. But I don't think it's gonna be pretty interesting and pretty fun. So, coming back on Monday, Dragon Quest. I got a lot of tokens for the casino, so I guess I'm gonna be using equipment from the casino. It's just really want to stay low level, I think that makes sense. And until then, you know the rules. It might seem that I want to make people depressed or black-pilled, but the kind of articles I usually cover on Saturday. But that's actually really far from the truth. It's really important to know what the fuck is actually going on in the world, and how the people are actually in opposition to you, the individual. Because that's the only way we have to actually start making some change. How do we make the change? I don't know, get involved in the politics, I suppose. If the politicians are ass, you need to become the politician. And take care.